Hey y'all, welcome back to Exile Wargaming, where today, and as always, we're going to be talking about Harlequins, specifically in a battle report against the Emperor's Children in the Coterie of the Conceited detachment. Now, the list we're bringing today should look a bit familiar. We're running it through its paces against as many competitors as we can. It has a Troop Master with Chegarax Coil, two other Troop Masters, a Shadow Seer with the Mistweave, and a Solitaire as far as our characters are concerned. The Shadow Seer will be attached to a 12-man unit of troops, and the Troop Master with Coil will be attached to an 11-man unit. We are also bringing 4 units of 5 troops. 2 of them will be inside of Star Weavers. The other 2 will be attached to our other 2 Troop Masters inside of 2 Falcons. We're bringing a unit of 5 Rangers, 2 units of Fire Dragons, and a Wave Serpent. We're coming in at 15 total units at 1,995 points. Now our opponent is bringing the Emperor's Children and the Coterie of the Conceited detachment. They have Lucius the Eternal, 3 Lord Exaltants, a Demon Prince with wings and Unholy Fortune, 2 other Demon Princes with wings, a Lord Cacophonist, 3 units of 5 Infractors for those Lord Exaltants to attach to, 2 units of Tormentors, 3 units of 6 Noise Marines, and 2 Chaos Rhinos. They are coming in at 14 total units at 1,990 points. Now we'll be playing Mission D, which is Scorched Earth, Swift Action, and Tipping Point style deployment on GW Terrain Layout 2. Now, this is actually my second matchup against the same opponent on a different mission, but the same terrain layout. And our opponent seems to have learned his lesson from the first game. Originally, we staged the Shadow Seer upwards, and we were able to push our unit of Fire Dragons, 2 of them, out of a Wave Serpent on the first turn and blew up a whole bunch of his force. I believe we brought down a Demon Prince on turn 1. Quite a few other units, and the game just spiraled from there. So since then, our opponent has taken a few cues and moved up the Tormentors to block any staging area or any holes for our Fire Dragons to get into early on. Everything else is pretty much deployed with some symmetry. He has a Demon Prince with wings and Unholy Fortune in reserves. This Rhino, I believe, has 2 units of Infractors inside of it. This unit has 1 unit of Infractors inside of it. He has a unit of Tormentors up in the middle, and then another stickying the home field objective. Lucius the Eternal is behind this rune as well, and then he has a Demon Prince in the midboard and another back here with a unit of Noise Marines. There is, I believe, a unit of Noise Marines behind this terrain as well, so essentially he could just play musical cars and scout this unit up into the rune, and then maybe disembark a unit of Infractors and a Lord, and then bring the Noise Marines inside of it. He has a Lord Cacophonist unit with Noise Marines inside of it as well in strategic reserves. On our side of the board, we are pretty much just deploying with our standard tried and true symmetry, but it's a little easier for us this game because our opponent doesn't have any long range firepower. So we end up having the Solitaire over here to back up the Shadow Seer brick, who's infiltrating up towards their natural expansion, and then we have a Star Weaver as well. This Falcon can pivot towards the midboard, maybe get some good firing lines, or it can back up this Shadow Seer unit over here as well. We have our big brick of troops with the Troop Master in the center. My plan is to just threaten all of this throughout the majority of the game by just staging them 1 inch off the wall and blocking this whole objective from being able to have a good engagement from our opponent. Beyond this, we have our Shadow Seer or our Falcon and Troop Master up top here, and another unit of troops inside a Star Weaver to just go into our natural expansion and made something a little difficult. What our opponent has chosen to do at this point, though, is stack this side of the field. Looks like he's content going for this triangle here, and he's just going to give us our natural expansion up front. Our opponent wins the turn 1 dice roll and gets to go first. He draws Recover Assets and Secure No Man's Land. So he's going to end up pushing up the Tormentors here to get that secure no man's land, and he's going to recover assets, I believe, with one of these units and something back over here. He scouts up the Rhino into this midfield objective with both units of infractors inside of it, and then this Rhino ends up scouting up as well. He disembarks the troops, the infractors with the Lord Exultant onto this objective as well, and tries to move block this Shadow Seer brick from going out on the other side of the wall over here with the Rhino. Both Demon Princes just push over to stage safely on this side, and he brings down the Noise Marines at the bottom of the board to try to get some shots into the Shadow Seer unit as well. We do end up using our reactive move during the movement phase, and then our opponent is kind of put in a weird position where he has to choose between trying to charge them or shoot them with the Noise Marines or infractors themselves. And this is one of the tricky parts about playing against the Ghost of the Webway detachment is you're always kind of caught in this lose-lose situation where you can do one thing, but it's at the cost of another. Because of the range on these Noise Marines and the charge range of the infractors, our opponent had to choose on whether he was going to shoot at them and risk a good fade back roll or charge them with the infractors themselves. Because these Noise Marines had a good solid amount of firepower, he chose to shoot into them. We ended up only losing, I believe, 4 or 5 of them. And then we fade back a good, I believe we rolled a 4 or a 5 and got them back a little bit as well. And it ended up making this like an 11 or a 12-inch charge for the infractors. So they are going to survive for this turn. In our turn one, we end up drawing secure no man's land and no prisoners. So it's pretty much go time from the rip. We end up starting from the top down, moving our Falcon up over here to get some shots into the Tormentors. We push our Star Weaver up here to force our opponent to put something onto this objective or hand us, free primary for the rest of the game. He does have 2 units in strategic reserve in that Demon Prince and Noise Marine, so I do expect them to come down on this section of the board. We just want to make sure we're staged appropriately with the Falcon to try to clap back. Our Wave Serpent with the Fire Dragons in the center is just going to get an angle on these Tormentors, maybe put a shot into this Rhino, and then like we planned from the get-go, we are going to line this wall 1 inch with our massive unit of troops, so it makes it a little bit difficult for our opponent to engage. He would need a huge advance and a charge around the wall and through the Wave Serpent in order to get into them. It's just not feasible, at least on the second turn of the game. Our Falcon that was down on the mid section of the board pushes down to get some firing lines into the Noise Marines, and almost everything bounces. I think we only ended up killing 1 of them. We blitz the Solitaire to get right in front of these Noise Marines as well, and then we push back the Shadow Seer brick and the unit of Harlequin troops and the Star Weaver to engage in either this Rhino or these infractors or the Noise Marines afterwards. We want to kill as many units as we possibly can. As far as these Tormentors in the middle, we were barely able to bring them down with the Wave Serpent and its Bright Lance, this Star Weaver and this Falcon. I believe we even fired some Shuriken cannon shots into them as well, or it might have been the pulse lasers from this Falcon just to try to make something happen. They were down to 1 guy left before we activated down here, I believe. In the shooting phase, though, the majority of this infractor unit, I believe we brought down 3 of them through neuro pistols, and I believe some fusion pistols were in range, just not within Melta, and the Star Weaver were able to bring down another as well. In the charge phase, we were able to make contact with all of our charges, including the Solitaire into the Noise Marines. The Shadow Seer brick got in, as well as the Star Weaver brick, and they both moved into the infractors with the Lord Exultant. We ended up beginning the fight phase with the Shadow Seer brick, was able to bring down all of the infractors except for the Lord Exultant. The Lord Exultant intervenes and wipes out the remaining Harlequin troop, the 5-man unit that got out of the Star Weaver, before they had a chance to finish him off. The Solitaire is then going to go absolutely bananas, blitzing into the Noise Marines. So at the end of it all, the Solitaire picks up 5 of the Noise Marines. That unit is completely wiped. We pick up all of the Infractors. The Shadow Seer unit is tied up in combat with the Lord Exultant. And then the Solitaire uses its consolidation, gets back onto the objective. We're within 6 inches of the Starweaver and re-embarks. Now, in our opponent's turn 2, he ends up drawing Marked for Death and Area Denial. Now, Marked for Death is going to turn into a CP, but Area Denial is very, very doable. He ends up falling back with the Lord Exultant. We use Opportunity Seized to push our Shadow Seer brick back just a little bit more, and then he embarks in the Rhino and pushes that up front for Area Denial. He disembarks a unit of Infractors over here to block this section of this rune. So I guess our fire dragons aren't getting in there and laying waste to anything else, neither are our troops. We could charge them, but we're not getting the benefit of the fusion pistols, and it'll end up just being a nightmare for us if we try it. So this is a really good move by our opponent. He ends up bringing from strategic reserves the Lord Cacophonist and a unit of Noise Marines down here instead of up here where I thought they were going to go. Lucius the Eternal ends up pushing down to threaten some heroic intervention as well, and then both Demon Princes are down here as well. Our opponent has a substantial amount of his force left. This home field objective is still stickied by the Tormentors, but our Shuriken Cannons are a pretty good threat for them, so I don't see him poking them out, and I believe there's still another unit of Noise Marines back here. In the shooting phase, our opponent didn't have many options, but these Noise Marines were able to bring down all of the Shadow Seer's brick, except for the Shadow Seer himself, who lived at just 2 wounds remaining. In our turn 2, we end up drawing Assassination and Marked for Death. Now, we're going to get rid of Marked for Death for a command point, but we should be able to get Assassination. We ended up dropping our troops out of the Starweaver up top here, and then moving the Starweaver all the way over to this wall to block this hole where the Lord Exultant would be able to disembark. If we are able to bring this Rhino down, then the Lord Exultant could fall. He only had a couple wounds remaining to our other firepower, and we'll get that 5 points on Assassinate. But that is really the only reason the Starweaver is pushed up over here. It's to kind of 1-inch this so he can't disembark. His base is too big where the Rhino was. We end up leaving the troops right here where they are. We get the Falcons or fire dragons outside of this wave serpent to put some shots into the Rhino as well, and then we just push up the wave serpent with another unit of fire dragons inside to just threaten whatever we may need to and make sure we're getting our primary. On the bottom of the board, this Falcon is going to move up just enough to stay out of really great range of these Noise Marines or a good charge from the Infractors or anything up here. And the Shadow Seer and Solitaire are going to try to make their charges. Something really important here is that I don't want to be wasting our Agile tokens. It seems like we have the perfect distance and threat range to engage our opponents whenever we want, but make it very difficult for them as well. So I don't want to necessarily use the no Overwatch token, just in case I want to use Fade Back or Opportunity Seized, or get that extra 2 inches of movement, or maybe use Vectored Engines, something like that. I believe we ended up just advancing this Starweaver up here, but we might have used Vectored Engines, and that's why we didn't push these guys up so much further. We do end up pushing the Starweaver out. The goal is to charge Lucius first so we can't heroic intervene if we get into the Noise Marines. Otherwise, we make a couple really good things happen. Now, at the end of the movement phase, our opponent did use Rapid Ingress to bring down the Demon Prince with Unholy Fortune right up here. What we ended up doing is firing into this Rhino with our unit of fire dragons. Not everyone was in range. This was just bad on my part, but we were able to bring it down pretty handily. This Falcon up top here was then able to bring down the Lord Exultant. We ended up putting some shots into the Noise Marines from this Starweaver and this Falcon, and we're only able to bring down one of them. We have not hit with a single Bright Lance or wounded with one the entirety of this game so far, even though we've been firing them off pretty heavily. In the charge phase, the Starweaver just moves into Lucius, and the Solitaire and Shadow Seer move into the Lord Cacophonous unit and the Noise Marines. The Solitaire goes absolutely bananas again, is able to bring down 5 of them. And then our opponent interrupts with the Cacophonous and is able to bring down the Shadow Seer. So far, the Solitaire has been incredible. Brought down, I believe, 10 Noise Marines on his own. In our opponent's turn 3, he only scores a 5 on primary and ends up drawing Defend Stronghold and Assassination. That means we've held our opponent to just 10 points in primary through turn 3. We're doing everything that we need to do. Our opponent ends up falling back with the Lord Cacophonist. We then use Opportunity Seized with the Solitaire to get him right behind this wall over here. He pushes out with his Demon Princes, and Lucius comes in as well. We do end up overwatching with the Fire Dragons into this Demon Prince with wings up here, and we're able to bring him down to just 5 wounds remaining. So that's very, very nice for us. These Demon Princes, when they attack you, they end up getting impact mortals based on the volume of wounds they have remaining. So we may have just saved ourselves a couple wounds there, or made it a little bit easier to bring him down later on in the game. This unit, or Demon Prince up top here, ends up just moving to take this objective from these troops. They have no chance of surviving. I am almost certain of it. And then these Noise Marines come back out here from behind cover, and I believe are going to put some shots into either the Wave Serpent and the Star Weaver. They are able to bring down, I believe, the Wave Serpent to 7 wounds remaining with the Blast Masters, and then everything else bounces on this Star Weaver. It just survives. We make a bunch of 4+ saves, and we are in really, really good shape. The Demon Prince down here ends up coming up to get into range of this Falcon, it looks like, and then Lucius ends up trying to get in range of the Solitaire. In the charge phase, the Demon Prince up here brings down our whole unit of Harlequin troops with just impact mortals alone. The unit of Infractors with a Lord Exultant bring down this Star Weaver. Lucius the Eternal charges the Solitaire, and this Demon Prince is able to move into this Falcon and completely destroy it. We have to disembark our troops. Fortunately, we don't lose any of them, but this was pretty wild. Up top here in the middle, this Demon Prince ended up charging the Wave Serpent, whiffed on a bunch of its wounds, and then unfortunately we made, I believe, the 2 saves, and the Wave Serpent ends up surviving on just 3 wounds remaining. So this is huge right here. But in one of the most shocking turns of events in this game, the Solitaire ends up going bananas again into Lucius the Eternal. Lucius should have absolutely been able to survive these attacks. I believe he has a 4+ invulnerable save, a 5+ feel no pain, and 6 or 7 wounds. The Solitaire ends up putting 6 wounds on him. He fails every save, just a box full of 1s and 2s, and then makes 0 feel no pains. I believe he took 10 or 12 wounds and didn't even get a chance to swing. Now, in our turn 3, we're only able to score a 5 on primary, but get a couple decent secondaries in Defend Stronghold and behind enemy lines. We end up pushing this Troop and Troop Master unit outside of the Falcon over here to deal with this Demon Prince with Unholy Fortune. Our unit of troops with Chegarax Coil in the center are just going to hold tight. We are using them as kind of a last-ditch effort or a final push unit. The unit of Fire Dragons that was inside of this Wave Serpent is going to push down here to get shots on this Demon Prince, and then the Fire Dragons that were behind it are going to move out to get a good angle on this one. In the shooting portion of this, we did way more damage than I was anticipating. This Falcon ends up hitting and wounding with a Bright Lance for, I believe, 6 or 7 damage, and he blanks that damage. Then the Pulse Laser does a few, and then the troops with their fusion pistols and grenades that we threw up here are able to bring him down before we even have to get into combat. These Fire Dragons are very easily able to bring down this Demon Prince, who is at 5 wounds remaining, and the Bright Lance that was coming off of this Wave Serpent as well. Even though it is bracketed, I think we did get a wound through, and he falls. The Fire Dragons down here put a bunch of shots into this Demon Prince, and I think they're able to bring him down to just a couple wounds remaining, and this Harlequin troop with Troop Master afterwards are able to finish him off. So in this shooting phase, we ended up bringing down 3 Demon Princes. It's pretty much over from here, but we'll see where our opponent can go. At the end of it all, in movement, we ended up moving the shadow or the solitaire out towards this bottom portion of the board to make sure we got behind enemy lines. In the charge phase, we just pushed into the Lord Cacophonist and are very easily able to bring him down as well. In our opponent's turn 4, he ends up scoring another 5 on primary and gets Defend Stronghold and Assassination. Assassination may be doable on this turn. He ends up pushing these Noise Marines out over here to get shots into these troops and is able to bring down a few of them. And then we end up using Fade Back to get back inside of the Falcon. This unit of Infractors and Lord Exaltant over here push towards this section of the board to just charge this objective, maybe get those troops inside of it. Again, they're in a situation of charge or shoot, and I think our opponent, just trying to maximize everything that they can, chose for the shooting option. This Rhino is going to push out to this section of the board, try to get some shots, I believe, into the Fire Dragons, and then these Infractors are going to move down here and put some shots into them as well. They're able to bring down 3 or 4 of the Fire Dragons on this section of the board. These guys are safe. But when our opponent moves to this objective, we end up reactive moving our troop over here, so we are now in range of heroic intervention from the Solitaire. If our opponent bases up to here, we are in perfect shape. This is why we move them in this direction and not backwards. The Solitaire can do some work into the Infractors, and that means it's just left to the Lord Exaltant to punch through a bunch of 4+ invulnerable saves and a Resurrect from the Solitaire or the Troop Master as well. In the charge phase, our opponent was not able to get in contact with the Falcon up here and is then forced to put the Infractors into this unit of troops. He did end up getting hit by heroic intervention, but at this point in the game, he's got to do something if he has any hope at all. Unfortunately, the Solitaire wipes out all of the Infractors again. He's been insane this game. And then the unit of troops pushes in and punches as well. He ends up interrupting and splitting his attacks between the Solitaire and the Harlequin troop. I believe the Lash Whip went into the Harlequin troop and is able to bring down 4 of them. And then he almost brought down the Solitaire with the Exaltant as well, but left him on 1 wound remaining. In our turn 4, we end up scoring 10 points on primary and get Bring It Down in overwhelming force. Up top, we end up moving our troops out of the Falcon to push towards these Noise Marines, and we push the Falcon up itself. I believe there are 2 or 3 troop remaining with the Troop Master, more than enough to deal with any of this. We throw some fusion pistols in and the Falcon himself, and we are able to bring down 2 of the Noise Marines before combat. This big unit of Harlequin troops with the Troop Master and Chegarak's Coil pushes towards this section of the board, and they're able to bring down 4 Infractors with all their shooting combined. These few Fire Dragons that were inside of the Wave Serpent end up getting out, putting some shots into this Rhino, and then the Wave Serpent itself is able to bring it down as well. I believe we did like 16 damage to this Rhino in this turn. These Fire Dragons down here just pushed up to get onto this objective and tow it, and the fusion pistol from the Troop Master was able to bring down the Lord Exaltant. In the charge phase, our unit of troops up here is able to bring down this entire unit and almost the Lord Exaltant before they even made their attacks, just from a good roll in Chegarak's Coil. We are going to hold this objective at the end of the turn and get those extra points for overwhelming force. In our opponent's turn 5, they end up getting another 5 points in primary. They had kept Assassination and then drew Sabotage. These Noise Marines that ended up in combat, they survived against our troop and Troop Master up here, ended up falling back, putting shots into these Fire Dragons, and are going to charge as well and bring down another one. The unit of Tormentors came out over here, put shots into the Troop and Troop Master, and then ended up charging and brought all of them down except for the Troop Master at 2. These guys stayed put, and there's nothing else going on. Now in our turn 4, we began the burn action on this objective over here, so it is no longer there. We're just going to push all of our forces towards our opponent's home field objective as we drew Extend Battle Lines and Storm Hostile Objective. All we have to do from here is get rid of these Tormentors. And at the end of the game, we end up scoring both of those secondaries and all of our primary while entirely tabling our opponent at the last minute. Walking away the victor 97 to 51. Let's go. Luck of the Laughing God is real. And the biggest difference maker being we crushed on primary throughout this game while scoring some really reasonable secondaries. Really, overall, it feels like our profiles are just highly efficient into this army. Fire dragons are great into princes. Falcons are great into princes. The troop and the troop masters and the solitaire are great into infractors and tormentors and noise marines. The out of phase movement was really key. We're doing things very similar to Emperor's Children. We have fallback, shoot and charge. We have long threat ranges. We have a abundance of -1 damage AP attacks, attached to some high level characters. But that out of phase movement is what changes everything. We have fade back. We have opportunity seize. We can disembark and re-embark into our Star Weavers. We get the extra 2 movement whenever we need it. And we have our natural reactive move through stratagem. So it really kind of forces Emperor's Children to play a one-dimensional game where a lot of times it seems like they want to be able to combine their firepower with their melee. It's like we're taking one of those away every turn as long as we set up our approach appropriately. There were so many turns where our opponent needed to pop a transport and engage the guys inside, but because of the Noise Marines range, they didn't have a bunch of hefty firepower. They weren't able to do that. So the Demon Prince is then forced to fight directly into a Falcon or a Wave Serpent or even a Star Weaver before being able to get to the stuff that really hurt inside. When I say our profiles just feel highly efficient into them, that's exactly what I mean. The bricks felt really, really solid. That Troop Master brick in the center made it very difficult for our opponent to engage with because he has the ability, because of all of the fusion pistols and grenades and neuro pistols combined with Chegarex coil itself, to 2-for-1 any of his units. It could have been 2 units of infractors with 2 exaltants, and our troop brick should have been able to deal with both of them in one go. The Shadow Seer brick, though, did really well in this matchup at making it a little tricky and tying up our opponent's natural expansion earlier on. I think if he would have just said it was time to go all in and pushed all of the, Demon Princes in and just kind of hope for the best, he may have had a little bit more success. But that Wave Serpent in the middle, being able to push the Fire Dragons wherever they needed to, I think was the deterrent. So we were really able to kind of control the board in this game, not just have a presence on the board, but control it and dictate what our opponent needed to do to stay in the game. Early on, that Shadow Seer brick kept our opponent from scoring and keeping up on the board a little bit longer than he anticipated, and we forced his hand in turn 3 to just make everything work and hope for the best. The Noise Marines don't feel really efficient into us at this point, just because they don't have enough damage necessarily to bring down something like a Wave Serpent consistently. I'm sure they could do it, but it's kind of a gamble. And the Solitaire was really just the MVP. He ended up killing 2 units of Noise Marines, a unit of Infractors, and Lucius, while also tying up, I believe, a Lord Exaltant at the end. He was a legitimate threat with fights first and then all the movement shenanigans as well. Heroic intervention is definitely something that Emperor's Children don't want to see with a strength 6 AP2 2 damage weapon into traditional Space Marine bodies. So I really do feel like if you position yourself the right way in this matchup, if you understand what your opponent is capable of and what your units need to do in order to balance that out, we have a really good matchup into Emperor's Children as far as the list that everyone's bringing right now. But I hope you enjoyed. With the new data slate and tournament companion on the horizon, I am really looking forward to seeing what Harlequins are capable of. I am not sure if the challenger cards are going to be a boon for us or take away a little bit more than we were expecting. I do not anticipate Harlequins to get a huge bump or a bunch of points drops in the new data slate. I think Yanari kind of ruined that for us. I think if anything, we're going to get sort of a drive-by nerfing for units like our fire dragons or wave serpents or, even rangers and things like that. So overall, though, I am really, really looking forward to it. If there are games that you have in mind you want to see us go up against, please let me know in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, join the Discord. Any little bit of help means more than you could possibly imagine. But I appreciate y'all, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next video.